네, 안녕하세요. 승승장구 이프로입니다. 지난 파리 블록체인 위크에 모니카 롱 리플 대표의 인터뷰 영상 이제 3부로 다시 한번 찾아뵙게 됐고요. 1, 2부의 영상을 못 보신 분들은 제가 요약까지 다 해놨으니까 해당 영상부터 보시면 좋으실 것 같고 영상 링크는 제가 더보기란에 달아놨습니다. 지금 그러면 3부 시작할 텐데 내용이 내용인지라 이제 의역과 오역이 있으면 절대 안 되어서 작업하는데 정말 많은 시간 소요되었습니다. 고생했다고 구독과 좋아요, 알람 설정 눌러주시고요. 다른 건 몰라도 좋아요는 꼭 한번 부탁을 드리겠습니다. 여러분들의 좋아요가 영상을 제작하는데 큰 힘이 됩니다. 그럼 영상 시청하시겠습니다.
Just want to ask a couple more on sort of markets. Is there a risk at this point that there may be another crypto winter on the horizon, just as we've seen kind of a lot of chaos and volatility in public markets as well? We are seeing the same thing, as you mentioned, in crypto markets too.
I won't throw out a prediction right now. However, I will say there's been many winters. There's been many cold winters. There's also been hot summers in crypto. So, it's an emerging, well, for the past 10, 15 years, it's been emerging and developing. I do think this point on tipping point for tokenization and institutional adoption is important because it shows we've kind of leveled up in maturity. But I mean, it's here to stay. There's, I think the past couple winters we've been through have proven that this technology is, can't put the genie back in the bottle, and it's going to find its way into core financial infrastructure.
And of course, President Trump campaigned on a very pro-crypto message, and we've seen changes already. As you mentioned at the SEC, we've seen the setup of the crypto strategic reserve in the US as well, which underwhelmed some, but was a positive step for many as well. Has the presidency so far in the first 3 months or so lived up to the hype for your industry?
For the crypto industry. I think so. I mean, it's the presidency as well as both houses in Congress are leaning more pro crypto innovation and embracing the innovation behind it than they ever have before. And it's not to be unchecked, of course. The stablecoin bills that we're seeing put forward are there to protect consumers, put in safeguards on, one-to-one backing, auditing of reserves, things like that that are really important to make sure that, these are products that can be safely used out into the wild.
And for Ripple, I mean, you've had the sort of SEC issues now pretty much resolved. What does this mean for your business in terms of clarity and being able to invest? I guess this acquisition is kind of underscores the ability now to almost move forward, right?
Yeah, I'm not lying. Certainly a relief to just totally close that chapter and move on. I mean, we felt very, very strongly that the judge's decision 2 years ago was the right decision and that it would stand as law of the land. And here we are, it does. So it's just nice to kind of move forward and have that clarity. And certainly, yeah, we're going to continue to make moves to expand the business.
Just as it stands, there's sort of this push, of course, from the White House, in particular around deregulation of various industries, not just crypto, but this deregulation push. At the same time, there is a need for new regulation and clarity for your industry because of these are emerging technologies as well. Do you think there's going to be any kind of tension at all or conflict between those 2 points of view? Or you mentioned earlier you do expect more regulation or more regulatory clarity, at least in the US this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are finding the right balance all over the world. I mean, I think there's probably healthy tension there, and we kind of need to put some rules in place and put them into practice to see what wrinkles need to be ironed out. MiCA has been a huge success story. I mean, 27 states coming together and having one harmonized model across Europe is tremendously helpful. And there's, parts of it that would say make, barriers to entry a bit harder for upstarts. So things to learn there. And, I mentioned Singapore earlier. From what I understand, a lot of the central bankers and global regulators are also talking to each other. So I think that collaboration is super important as we're navigating, the future.
And just one more on the US. In terms of the US, do you think it's stable coins and the current bills going through the legislative process that come to pass first? Do you think that's the big focus for this year?
Yeah, in terms of legislation?
In terms of legislation.
They seem to be farthest along. I know there's also crypto market infrastructure bills in progress. Those do seem to be farther along. Also in the US, I would say another change within this year really is the acceleration of ETFs. I mean, there's been a number filed around XRP, for example. We've seen them for Solana, for, of course, ETH and Bitcoin. And so it's a big deal if, you know, the U.S., largest global economy, largest capital markets, is a player on the field now.
And for your business, Monica, for Ripple, are you seeing at this point in time, it's still kind of early days in terms of, you know, the improving sentiment in the crypto markets in the US, but are you seeing more business requests, acceleration of revenue growth in the US?
Yeah, it almost happened overnight from the election, where the engagement from banks in the US changed. Like it was like a light switch flipped. And so you think of banks who are, you know, are offering reserve bank services to stablecoin issuers like us, or transaction banking services. If we remember March, the collapse of the S collapse, Silvergate and Signature and whatnot, and that was a systemic risk to the whole industry. And so I think the more banks, the more distribution and that we have of banking infrastructure supporting us, the healthier the crypto economy can be. So definitely have noticed a change in that. The other big change is with SOB 121 going away. So this was the bulletin with the accounting rules that really restricted banks from holding crypto on their balance sheet. We certainly see much more interest in custody as well.
So in terms of sort of your global business, where are you seeing at the moment some of the faster growth? Are there particular regions or countries that have had sort of rules in place for a while where you are seeing a lot of growth happening at the moment?
Yeah, so game on in the US. Here in Europe, with our custody business, this was kind of where it was born. And so we're really proud to work with a lot of the major banks here in Europe, like BBVA and Intesa and SocGen. And so seeing a lot of action here in Europe. And then Asia Pac is probably the growth leader for us on the payments front. I think the stablecoin payments proposition, especially, it's very sticky when you have markets or corridors between, for example, APAC, LATAM, Africa, China. These are areas where there's a high demand to use a USD stable.
We've got a few seconds left, Monica, so I have to ask you this. Brad once said to me when we were talking, the CEO, he once said to me that once the SEC issues are resolved, we'll start talking about an IPO. Where are we on that discussion?
I had absolutely no idea what you were going to say. That kept me on the edge of my seat. IPO. Well, so we bought Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. I think he's also said publicly we have a very healthy, rich balance sheet. And so, I mean, we are definitely a player in M&A right now. We're thinking about ways to, you know, progress our growth in, you know, 1-2 leapfrog kind of steps. And I think IPO makes more sense for a company where you're looking for more liquidity, and that's not our constraint to growth right now. So we're more focused on growing the business as a private company.
And M&A.
And M&A, inorganically and organically.
Fantastic. Monica, thanks so much for all your insights. Wide range of topics. Always appreciate the time. Monica Long, the president of Ripple.
Thank you, Arjun.
네, 앞선 영상 잘 보셨을까요? 네, 그럼 인터뷰 3부 요약을 해드리자면 이제 미국의 정책 변화, 특히 이제 SEC와 스테이블 코인의 법안이 변화된 이후로 미국의 기관들의 참여가 급격하게 증가했습니다. 특히 이제 은행과의 협업이 증가했는데요. 이 SAAB 121 암호화폐를 자기 재무제표에 올리지 못하게 했던 회계 규정이 사라지면서 은행들의 수탁 비즈니스, 커스터디 서비스에 대한 관심이 눈에 띄게 증가하고 있는 상황이고요. 리플의 이제 글로벌 사업 확장의 측면에서는 유럽은 애초에 커스터디 사업을 시작했던 곳으로 현재 BBVA, 인테사, 소시에테 제너럴 같은 은행들과 파트너십을 맺은 상태이며 현재는 아시아 태평양 지역이 결제 부분에서는 이제 1등을 달리고 있고, 특히 이제 스테이블 코인을 활용한 결제 솔루션이 가장 강력한 이점을 가지고 있는 상황입니다. 이제 미국 같은 경우에는 아까도 말씀드렸던 것처럼 정책 변화 이후에 은행 및 기관의 참여가 가속화가 된 상황이고요. 그리고 마지막으로 리플사의 IPO에 대한 입장은 현재 리플의 재무 상태가 좋아서 IPO가 시급하지 않음에 현재는 이제 비상장인 상태로 회사를 운영하고 있고 운영해 나갈 거라는 입장이란 것입니다. 네, 여기까지 지난 8일 블록체인 위크에서의 리플랩스의 사장 모니카 롱의 인터뷰를 모두 살펴보셨는데요. 영상을 보시고 나서의 여러분들의 리플에 대한 생각은 어떠신가요? 댓글로 자유롭게 남겨주시면 감사하겠습니다. 이번 영상은 여기까지이고요. 유익하셨다면 구독, 좋아요, 알람 설정 한 번씩 부탁드리면서 저는 더 좋은 내용으로 다시 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.